we're back, and we have to force this one out. It's our review of Forced. Oh, I think I just popped a blessed vessel. From Beta Dwarf, it's a Unity game, and you can pick it up for 1,296.75 Kenyan shillings. Or for those of you who can't math, $14.99. This is I don't know what exactly I would call it. It's an action game where you run around arenas and you try and destroy shit and kill people and try to stay alive. So we grade everything on this cracked out fucking scale of ours. We use lawn chairs instead of stars or percents because we're hardcore like that. Ben, show them the chair explanation.
We chose not the chairs. They chose us.
Sure, whatever you say, sweetheart. But we have our 1 chair score, which means that it's absolute shit. 2 chairs means that it's moderate to acceptable. 3 chairs means that it's pretty good. And 4 chairs means, well, Pedro is going to show you with his O face. Yeah. For you audio listeners, you should really just download the video for that one part. But anyways, we also have our categories of doom. Mixed with the working, shiny and sounds, controls, and fun. All of these are fairly self-explanatory if you can't figure them out by now. Well, then you might just be a Pedro. So, Ven, does Forced make with the working?
Does it make with your working? Now look at this right here on the video. From
Fuck
Video
your
Game
game.
On. Fuck your game. Well, in all fairness, it does say it's fucking fun. Well, you know what? Honestly,
We'll get to the fun later on.
yeah, well, we got a lot of lies at the beginning.
Certainly people haven't been spending too much time with this game under Linux, but then
under Linux. Now, originally we've been playing this for fuck mothering ever. Seriously, we have. And over iterations, I mean, it just went from just noping, and you've seen some of our earlier players with it. We found some like naming bugs to where I wanted to name it something simple like, you know, Turbo Cock Smasher 9000. That didn't work. Then I was like, all right, fuck it, Bob. And I was like, no, that name's inappropriate. I was like, Bob's Bob, man. So
Bob is Bob.
Was definitely an issue with that, but since the latest patch and our latest Cocaine Voltron edition, which means all 3 of us are playing, didn't run in, well, personally on this end, and get ready to take a shot playing on our Ubuntu powered, actually, I got this plugged in for the time being, GeForce 770 on an 8-core processor running, you know, 1204, and all that. At the end of the day, well,
Take another shot.
I'm going to give it 3
You know
chairs.
what? Take 3 shots.
Because
3 chairs.
I can't promise you that you won't run into the naming bug for the games, because I did run into that one more again, as they may say. J-Man.
Yep.
It runs, so that's certainly a thing, but the controller support is a bit flaky. I tried my Xbox controller and was unable to turn around, switch to roommate's PlayStation 3 controller spare thingy here, which has nice support in Linux, actually. But yeah, it works. You got to remap all your controls whenever you quit the game. That gets kind of annoying. So, but other than that, it runs fine. I'll give it 3 chairs.
And on the calculator, it crashes randomly if I'm using the FGLRX drivers. I would blame AMD for that, but nope. 3 chairs.
Well, it's always AMD's fault, so that rounds out our total. Oh man, a D4 just dropped on the floor. This is going to be painful. That rounds out our picks with the working score to 3 chairs. Next is Shiny and Sounds. And Ven, you have some things to say about voice work.
Well, voice work, Shiny and Sounds, you know what? I like the music. The music's not metal, but it's really good for what it is. Hell, I can even actually tolerate some of the voice work. It doesn't kill me. The shiny, I'm gonna have to touch on that. We're looking here in the video. For audio listeners, it's a video. While impressive for an indie team, it's still meh. It's not bad, but it's just like you're just almost there, and just not quite enough to, blow my eye pussies apart. So, definitely, shiny and sounds. Gotta be honest with ourselves here. 2 chairs.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to have to agree with Ben on all these points. I don't really have much to add. He more or less encapsulated all the things I had to say about shiny and sounds with his little blurb. I was actually, for an indie game, I was actually fairly impressed with the voice acting, I have to say, though, because like our other example, I guess, is Curse of the Nordic Cove, which was actually also fairly decent voice acting for an indie game. But like the man said,
you can remember that Curse of the Nordic Cove was made for like $2 in a taco.
Yeah, I know this one.
Yeah,
wasn't this game was interesting because it was made by like college students who were like renting out a house.
Epic story behind it that it will cover in the fun section.
Oh yeah,
yes.
But yeah, 2 chairs for shiny and sounds. I'm rambling now. P-Man.
Yeah. Personally, the shiny, it's Torchlight. If you've played Torchlight, you won't have your eye pussies, like Ven put it, blown out or anything. But when it comes to the sounds, they reuse sound effects to exhaustion. That boss fight that we tried to do on our last players, it proved just that. The boss keeps going and
Ven keeps falling.
yeah, Ven keeps falling. I think that was the one redeeming point to that. But
though, I have to interject and say this: the basically gave you the timing for how to avoid his attack. So
yeah, but it got obnoxiously repetitive real fast. So 2 chairs.
Well, it seems that we're at a rare consensus for both mix with the working and shiny and sounds. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Sock?
Yes. Yeah, I'd agree.
What the fuck? But coming up next is
2
Control.
chairs, shiny and sounds.
2 chairs, shiny and sounds. Up next, Controls. Then you're the outlier in this. Why don't you start?
Outlier with this, definitely using the again on the Ubuntu test boxing, using the Xclone controller, which already has shaky randomy bits falling about in it. No issues. Everything worked as best as you could expect these things to work. There's no problem, comrades. So 4 chair, I give.
I wasn't too big a fan of the control scheme. Aiming and whatnot gets really scrambly because you basically take these 2 sticks right here and you go "Wah!" as you try to aim at stuff.
Like you don't know how to work 2 sticks.
Oh, you know what? I'm an expert at working 2 sticks, and I found this tedious. Giggity. Yeah, the keyboard controls aren't really any better because you're basically just it's basically like playing Hammer Fight, if you remember that from Humbla Boondla 2 or 3 or whatever it was.
Oh, you mean Swing Wireless Dribble Off Mouse Test Simulator?
Pretty
Yes.
much, yeah, because you again, you're like trying to spin in a circle and I'm not a fan of this control scheme at all. I will give it that it actually works all right in terms of the context of the game. I can actually still accomplish what I set out to do when the controller, of course, is working, as Pedro might get into. So I'm gonna give this 2 chairs. It works, but it doesn't work particularly well.
Yeah, I think.
You say me. Wait, no, you don't. at all round.
You spin me 20 degrees.
Stop.
Yep, pretty much. In neither of our players videos could I actually turn all 360 degrees.
You got to explain this moon contraption that you're using to control with, though.
It's a PS2 Dual Shock controller. It's
We have the
Using a
same color
converter.
controller. Go Team Blue
Yeah, it's-
controller.
pretty standard. So I don't get why do I have to every time the game starts I have to reset and remap all the controls to be able to actually turn my character, because if I don't, I can only turn in like 20 degrees like Jordan said, basically. Just that diagonal down there, just that's all you're facing. And to me, in considering the type of game that it is, that's grounds to give it 1 chair.
Ooh, not very nice. So this will come out to 2 chairs for controls. And now for our final subjective category, fun. And I'm
fun.
contractually obligated to remind you that we are 3 different people on 3 different sets of hardware running 2 different operating systems. So, or rather Linux distros, which you could classify as individual operating systems, but that depends on your pedantry. Anyways, Ven, did you have fun?
Single player. Let's be honest. No, single player is miserable. It's boring. I mean,
Yeah.
I would rather try to shag a leprechaun than a leprechaun even than
With horse AIDS cancer?
now
With horse AIDS cancer.
that would actually encourage me to attempt to try to shag a leprechaun with horse AIDS cancer. But we're talking about your standard run of the mill leprechaun, and no, single player is rubbish. Don't bother with it. The only chance you're going to have any amount of fun with this game is with multiplayer. And we're not talking 2 people. Cocaine Voltron edition, minimum of 3 people playing with audio support, so you have fuck all idea what's going on. You don't have any illusion that you're just going to have, because you can't tell who's who. I mean, that's with the sprites and the pixels, and they make with the mashing, and it gets all with the blurry.
Yep.
It gets very difficult to figure out what's going on. So I can't give it 1, because we did have a bit of fun, but I can't give it 3 because you put the 3 of us in, OBGY in Kenobi Simulator. We're going to have a good time regardless. That said,
That actually sounds like a fun game. I kind of want to play it.
I'm going to give it a wet, stinky 2 chairs, J-Man.
So the first time I played this game, it was with these clowns for what I thought was going to be a player's episode that got scrapped. And I realized pretty much immediately that this game is no fun on your own. You basically need to have it. Having people playing this game with you is mandatory to derive any real enjoyment from it.
Yep.
The gameplay itself is, I find it rather lackluster, to be perfectly honest. It doesn't really do anything new. It's basically 4-player gauntlet that you can change your class each time you go to a new level. You twirl your joysticks around, if you can even turn around, because I ran into the same problem Pedro did, but with my 360 controller. Like I said, if you have people and it's just kind of a thing you do as you sort of hang out with your friends, then yeah, it can be fun.
And multiplayer online.
Yeah, but on its own, maybe even couch. I haven't tried couch multiplayer yet. Does that even support it? I think so. Actually, I think
Good
it.
idea.
You know what? Would it even support like hybrid couch online multiplayer? That might be interesting.
Double giggity.
But that would. But yeah, this is a 2-chair game in terms of fun. It's really only fun under very specific circumstances. So I'll leave it at that. Pedro.
Yeah, you guys pretty much already touched on everything I was going to. And all I can say beyond what you guys said is I see where they were going with this, but when it comes to execution, it fails miserably. And again, Linux needs a good action RPG. We don't have any Skyrims. We the last good Linux RPG was Torchlight, and it's by far a much better game than this one.
You know, it's nothing to lose your head over, though.
Yeah,
But
and
Mhm.
the only thing that this game has that Torchlight doesn't is multiplayer, and that's really the only selling point for this. Get as many people as you can together and have at. I will say this though, it's better than Legends of Aetherius. It's still
Because-
better than Legends of Aetherius.
because you can play it
Yep, 2 chairs.
without your computer dying from. And hell, I would even struggle to call this an RPG. It is an arcade action co-op game. There's like no role playing elements.
So what's our final on
Our final score is 2 chairs because I don't feel like pretending I can't do math. So, yeah. So that again, if we bring back the chair explanation, 2 chairs means that it's meh. This game is meh. Don't pay $15 for it. Wait until it goes on sale for dirt ass cheap, and
Yep.
only
And
if
the
you
winter
have.
sale is coming, so
Oh, and only
you can
if you
pick
have
it up at
people to play this
75%
game with.
off.
Well, I mean,
Now-
yeah, I understand why you don't want to pay 1,296.75 Kenyan shillings for it, and I also agree with P-Man that winter is coming. I would say
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
a 10 quid game because it's something you might pick up once, maybe twice, on a chance, because it's definitely a 50-50. This is either going to be your bee's knees, or this is going to be something that you're going to go, meh.
Yep. And I think that about
So-
wraps it up.
Yeah, that wraps up our review segment for Forced. Now, I must add an addendum because this is the first game from a group of people who basically worked very, very hard to pump this out. And while their first attempt isn't their best, I'd like to see more stuff from these guys. 'cause
I'd
it
like
looks-
to see a bit more. I mean, I hated to use
Yes.
the word forced. When I was first writing out this review with the chairs and stuff like that, I always had this constant feeling that this is no pun intended because I didn't know the story at the time. I was like, this just feels rushed. And then you come and find the story that they were just pretty much fuck all out of money at the time, and they were getting it out of the door. And I was like, that's a heartwarming story, but the game still needs a bit more work, gentlemen.
Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah.
For a first attempt, 2 chairs is not bad at all.